Welcome to Whippoorwill Holler. I'm Miss Lori, and this is Mr. Brown. We live in the hills of Arkansas. We love the Lord. Keepers of the old way, but accept some of the new. We love to cook, and we love to eat. We love to garden. It's in our blood. It's how we stay sustainable and fill our pantry. We do a lot of canning and preserving. We live a sustainable life. We love our family. We work hard. And every once in a while, we like to dance. So y'all join us. It's such a beautiful day here on the homestead. We've got the windows open. Mr. Brown's out mowing just a little bit. You can probably hear the lawnmower. You know, I have a lot of requests for homemade bread, and if y'all been with me from the beginning, I have a lot of homemade bread videos and just like my lunch lady hot rolls and biscuits and you name it. There's a lot of different bread recipes that I've uploaded in the past. And I think I'll get those together and I'll put them down in my information box down below the video. And a lot of y'all really are interested in bread machine bread recipes. And I do have a lot of them. And I never even owned a bread machine up till just a few years ago, and it was only because I was watching different videos, different channels that were using the bread machine. I thought this is really something. So I ended up ordering me one. I think it's a Hamilton, and it wasn't nothing fancy or anything, but it always made good bread. And then after using that one, it become because we work so much outside the house and we would rather have our own homemade bread than store bought. You know, this become a whole big game changer for me. And because I could put my ingredients in it, turn it on, and walk away and not and go on about my business. And I know some people say, well, that's not homemade bread. Well, it is. You put your own ingredients in there. The machine's just it's just doing the rest of the work for you, plus cooking it, baking it at the end, and you can continue with your life. Now, that being said, it has been, like I said, a game changer for me, and I use my bread machine quite a bit because it does help us a lot to make sure that we've got good homemade bread on the table, and I don't have to say, well, I can't make bread till this weekend, because that's the only time I have. And sometimes I don't even have, even the time on the weekend to make bread. I try to get it in there, but so a lot of y'all are in that predicament too. So I think that a bread machine is a good thing. Like I said, it's still homemade bread. The machine's just mixing it and doing all the rest for you and baking it, but you are still making your own homemade bread, and it comes out so good. Now, I still make homemade bread, just like I always have, when I have the time. So this video is about showing y'all the two different ways that I make bread. One is with my bread machine, and it's just a simple basic white bread. And then I'm going to use that same recipe, just mixing it by hand and cooking it in the oven, just like I always have. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Me and Mr. Brown are getting ready to do some more work out in the garden today. So having a couple of loaves of bread already cooked and ready to go. We love walking in the house and smelling that bread cooking. It smells so good. For instance, I can put all my ingredients into my bread machine, turn it on, and like I said, walk away. I can go work out in the garden if I need to run down the road, or if I have 20 loads of laundry to do, or just 100 other things that need to be done during the day. This bread machine is really, it's a good thing. And you can have any, I also bought one from a thrift store. And I forget the name brand. I'd have to look, but it's an older one when they first come out with bread machines, and I paid $8 for it, and I use it too, and it works wonderful. Now here recently, back at around Christmas time, I did spoil myself, and I bought me a new bread machine. And the only reason I did was because I wanted a different size and a different shape loaf of bread. So I'll be showing y'all my new bread machine. And like I said, I splurged on it, but the old Hamilton and the one I bought at thrift store does a good job too. So let's get started on our 2 ways of cooking a basic white bread. If using a bread machine, put your ingredients in the order that the recipe reads. That way your bread comes out good, it comes out right, it bakes up right every time. We're putting in 1.5 cups of just lukewarm water, and we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of melted butter. My granddaughter's wanting to help just a little bit. I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of honey. You can use 2 tablespoons of sugar if you want to, but I like using honey in my bread recipes. It's an all-natural sweetener, and it just makes your bread taste so good. Now, Avery's going to help me with the rest of the ingredients. So I'm going to help her just a little bit. We got 2 teaspoons of salt. And we've got 1/4 cup of powdered milk. I'm using a powdered buttermilk. You can buy your powdered buttermilk in the grocery store. We've got 4 cups of white bread flour, and I'm going to help her do that. And then we're going to put our yeast in last. It's 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. And this is rapid rise instant yeast. So that's all of our ingredients. So we're just going to close it up. Turn it to the cycle that we want to use. I just want basic bread. So we're going to number 1 cycle. I want a medium crust on my, I don't want a dark, I don't want a light, just a medium color on my crust. And we get all that pushed. Look it over, make sure we got it where we want it, and push start. And now we can walk away and just go about our business. Here is our bread after close to 3 hours later, and it made a beautiful, beautiful loaf. Now we're going to start on making our bread. Same recipe by hand. I'm just using my big bowl here. This bread recipe is easy to stir. So if you want to use your KitchenAid, you can use that too. So we got our 1.5 cups of lukewarm water. But I'm going to put my yeast in my water. So I'm doing this a little bit different. Your bread machine, you have to put all your ingredients, like I said, in the order that the recipe calls for it to mix well and to bake up right. So I put just a little bit of my honey in here with my yeast. I'll stir it up good. And I'll just let it sit here for just a little bit while I get everything else together. Okay, I got everything else together. We're going to put in our 2 tablespoons of melted butter. A couple of tablespoons of runny honey. And if you want to use a sugar substitute, you can do that too. We've got a 1/4 cup of, I prefer to use either whole milk powder or buttermilk powder. We got our 4 cups of bread flour. And our 2 teaspoons of salt. And I'm just going to use my dough whisk here, and I'm just going to mix it up. And it'll come together pretty good, pretty quick. It's not a real stiff dough, so it's not hard to stir. If I can do it with my arthritic hand over here, you know it stirs up pretty easy. And you can use your KitchenAid or any mixer that you have that you usually mix your bread up in. Now I'm going to get my hands in here, because when I'm making bread like this, I have to get my hands in it. So I'm just going to knead it. I usually knead my dough before my first proof. I usually knead it anywhere from 6 to 10 minutes. So that's why a lot of times I'll just make it my KitchenAid. And I also have my Nutrimilk Artisa mixer, which y'all see me use a lot. It does bread dough really, really wonderfully. And I'll just let my mixture do my kneading for me a lot of times. But I just want to do it by hand today and show y'all how easy it is. And it's just very therapeutic too, making bread. And this dough is just a little bit sticky. I'm going to bring my dough out on my counter. And I've got just a little bit of flour, because it is a little bit of a sticky dough. And like I said, I like to knead it for at least 10 minutes. So I need to knead it again just a few more minutes before it's first proof. This makes just a really, really good all-around sandwich bread, or just all-around bread that you need at the supper table or for whatever reason. The next day, it's usually really good to slice up and make French toast out of. Actually, this is really good for my hands. It's good therapy for my fingers. I've been having a lot of trouble with my arthritis in my hands and fingers. There was a couple of days that Miss Lori couldn't even bend her hand or couldn't grip nothing. I couldn't hardly write with a pen. But they're doing a little bit better now. It seems like with the weather it gets a little bit worse, but it's doing better now. So just knead and stretch it, knead and stretch it. And just make you a ball. I got a bowl, and I've got a little bit of olive oil in it. we're just going to put our bread dough in here. And I'm going to put it in a warm place, cover it up. In fact, I might put it in my Emerald Lagasse, my little countertop oven, because it's got a proofer in it. Stays about 95 degrees in there. And I'm going to let it stay in there for about an hour. Should double in size. Okay, my dough has doubled in size. And it was in there in my proofer for about an hour. If you don't have, excuse me, if you don't have a proofer, just put it in a warm place where there's no drafts or anything. And we're just going to knead it for just a little bit longer, just a couple minutes. Now, y'all know how much I love to make bread, but you can see how it does take time. It does take time, but you always come out with a beautiful loaf of bread. So if you have that time, it's just a beautiful thing to do for your family. To put that homemade bread on the table. To smell that homemade bread, smell cooked bacon in the oven. It's a good thing. Now I'm just going to roll this out just a little bit. Stretch it just a little bit. Then I'm just going to roll it to me. And as I'm rolling it to me, I'm just going to start pinching it. Gathering it up, pinching it in just like this. Then you can gather up the sides. Just kind of tuck them in. And I've got my cast iron loaf pan that I'm going to use today. I love this thing. I've got 2 of them. It bakes up a beautiful loaf of bread. Danny's out there wheat eating. So we're going to cover it up and we're going to let it proof for... It proofed for about 30 minutes. And I don't want it to proof no more than this. You can overproof a loaf of bread. And there's the other one back there from the bread machine. We done ate on it. So we're going to put this in a 350 oven for about 30 minutes. Beautiful dough. Okay, here it is. Isn't that beautiful? It baked up so pretty. And Miss Lori walked away and left it in there about 5 minutes too long. It got a little bit too dark on top for me, but it still turned out wonderful. 30 minutes is a good time. It's good and done. This was in there 35 minutes, about 5 minutes too long. But it's so pretty. Turned out so good. Well, that was our 2 basic white bread recipes for the day. And y'all seen how easy it was for either process. But if you're just needing that little extra time, that just little extra help, here it is right here. The bread machine loaf of bread. You've seen how beautiful it turned out. And it's also good. We've done ate some of it. And then just our regular homemade by hand in the oven bread. It's beautiful too. This is really a good recipe. Like I said, I've got several bread recipes, and this is one of my favorite too. But never be discouraged about using something that just helps you out just a little bit. This is I think it's just a really good product that comes out of your bread machine. And I'm not trying to sell bread machines, believe me, but I'm just telling you, we all need that little bit of help. We all want good, healthy, homemade bread, and I do have several different recipes, not just your basic white. And if y'all want me to continue with more bread machine recipes, and of course just your regular homemade bread recipes, and you can convert it, you know, to bake it either way, just let me know down in the comments, because I do love baking bread when I have time. And I tell you, we're going to be in big trouble when Miss Little Lori retires, because we're going to be doing a lot of baking. I have a feeling. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'm going to be leaving some links down below to some older videos of me making bread, and I think one of them is going to be one of the first videos I done making bread, and it wasn't just a little bitty loaf of bread either. I think I ended up using, oh, it's been so long ago. Why am I thinking it was about probably 10 pounds of flour? I'll have to go back and look, because I don't even remember. But it was such a beautiful day, and I got my big dish pan out, and it was just such a relaxing video of just making a bunch of bread and rolls and just different things. So I hope y'all go down and watch those videos. So I want y'all to have a beautiful, beautiful weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Remember what the remembrance is, what Memorial Day weekend stands for. And but y'all just be safe, be very safe. This is such a busy weekend, especially here in my area. Traffic it's just unreal, because everybody's going to the lakes, and our main road coming to our house is one of the main roads going to all the lakes in Missouri and everywhere else. So it's hard to even get out on the road sometimes. But anyways, y'all have a good one, and I'm hoping to get another video up either probably tonight or maybe tomorrow. And I want to be making some good old coleslaw and maybe a cobbler or something for y'all to take for your Memorial Day picnic. So we'll see y'all. God bless everybody. We love y'all.
Oh, would you stay with me through the autumn leaves? Would you steady me when I